Yes.
We are allowed to talk to each other and have a party and all that in heaven.
Is that the understanding that you got from the ayah?
That's if you talk to each other, you can do. And it says it's in the Quran,
Yes.
and it's God said that God doesn't lie.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
said
So,
that in
so
Surah
question
Quran.
is, your question is, why are people allowed to talk to each other in hellfire?
No. Just it's about the good news.
Oh, no. I think you actually misunderstood the ayah. The ayah says,
Why every time I say something?
yes, last time as well, he read something to me. I think you're reading it in Farsi. That's the problem. Iranians said the Quran is ours as well. It was promised us 3,000 years ago. Okay. This is the second time I'm correcting the brother this week. Basically, the ayah mentions the kuffar, whilst they were here on earth, they used to laugh and mock the mu'mineen. So they would tell them, you're on the wrong path, you are on the false path, everything you're doing is in vain. So Allah says, in the akhirah, the mu'mineen will be laughing at the kuffar.
Unless it says that
We will look into it.
talking to each other.
They don't.
Since they are not here, those people will be laughing at and making fun of them.
Yes.
Not here. Where are they?
There are many conversations in hellfire, which is mentioned in the Quran. They ask each other. In fact, there is a conversation between people of heaven and people of hell as well. ما سلككم في سقر قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. What brought you through here? They said, number one, we were not amongst those who established prayers. We did not give the needy. We did not do things. And we used to laugh off the mu'mineen. We used to laugh at them. Basically, whatever the mu'mineen would do, we would mock it. As in, whatever you're doing is false and there is no punishment, there is no heaven. But inshallah, we'll go to it. That's a very good question. Someone else also suggested if we could do some the surah understanding in the month of Ramadan. But that's an ayat I definitely keep inshallah in mind, and we look into it deeper, so we laugh at them inshallah in the akhirah together.
Something else.
Yes.
This is conflicted.
Yeah.
Last night, as we were running through the ayah, every ayah,
Yeah.
and that gentleman there, he read 3-4 pages. We are there now. And I said, we want to read and study, really going through it and finishing the Quran. It's not a matter what's especially Surah Al-Baqarah.
Yes.
The whole of the Islamic laws are in there.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I was dismissed.
You're dismissed.
They told me this, but they didn't say that. Shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But I was dismissed.
Yeah.
Well, in Arabic, I don't understand it anyway, so there's no translation.
No.
But you're right. We should respect it.
Yeah, we got a lot of Quran there in English. Yeah. Mine is in Persian. Better language.
And definitely
It's better
inshallah.
to read the Quran in a language that we understand, rather than just reciting. Or
Yeah,
recite and then also.
Arabic is a must, but once you have read it once, then understanding it is compulsory. So, Brother Abdullah is making a point. On the other hand, Brother Dawood was doing what you would do in the month of Ramadan. For one ayah you would get the whole Quran, so he was hurrying to finish to get as many Qurans as possible. It's just Q&A still.
Oh, okay. I was because downstairs we couldn't hear anything, so I was like, okay, let's see.
It's basically between the mu'mineen men here, yeah.
Okay, that's right.
We're not laughing at the moment in women, honestly.
That's right, I was making sure.
No, but inshallah, yeah, I will take that in consideration, inshallah, and we will delve into some surahs of the Quran, inshallah. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. For your marhumin marhumat, for the marhumin of mu'minin and mu'minat, and especially for the marhumin of Bimani family and Ali family, Surah Al-Fatiha 3 times. Qul huwallahu ahad. Before it, the loudest of salawat on Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. بسم الله الرحمن ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق الله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أول الخلق والعدد سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الأئمة المعصومين المنتجبين ولا سيما حجة الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح المؤمنين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. When it comes to fasting, Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam, they have divided fasting into 3 different levels, which I'm going to share them into detail inshallah with the mu'mineen, so we can benefit from the fasting in the month of Ramadan, not just at the lowest level. If we can, inshallah, we can also benefit from the highest level, which Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam themselves would do. The lowest level, which is called in the fiqhi way, it is called as-sawm al-shar'i. So you fast because it is wajib. You fast from what? You fast from eating and drinking. There are also mufattirat, which I would recommend the mu'minin if they were to delve into the fatwa of Sayyid Sistani, may Allah lengthen his life. In Tawdih al-Masail, you would find that there are 10 things that if you were to do, they would invalidate your fasting. This is called a sawm al-shar'i. Should you not do any of them, you keep away from food and water, your fasting is accepted. Let's say the wajib has dropped on you. Allah is not going to ask you, why did you not fast? This is the lowest form of fasting. The second level, which according to the Imam alayhi salam, he says, when you have done sawm al-shar'i, the second level is sawm al-jawarih. Your limbs should be also fasting. So what does the Imam alayhi salam, Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam says to one of his companions, فَإِذَا صُمْتَ فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصَرُكَ وَلِسَانُكَ وَجِلْدُكَ وَشَعْرُكَ وَجَمِيعُ جَوَارِحِكَ. If you were to fast, make sure that your hearing is fasting, your sight is fasting, your tongue is fasting, your skin, your hair, and every single limb if you're in your body should be fasting. This is the second level of fasting according to Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam. When he says you should be fasting by your hearing, hearing what? Stay away from hearing that which is unlawful in the Quran. For example, ghiba. If someone is saying a ghiba, though I'm not saying something, but I'm listening to it, what does Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam say? The one who is listening to the ghiba, he is just as worse as the one who is saying it. Why, O Imam? Because if you were not there, the person who's saying it would not say it to anyone. So as a listener, you are just as bad as the one who is talking about someone else. The fasting of the sight, you lower your gaze from that which is haram. Now, bearing in mind, God forbid, should I do haram through my ear, through my eyes, through my tongue? Does that break my fasting? It doesn't break your fasting. But the purpose of fasting is not there anymore, which is taqwa. So Allah is going to lower the reward. Okay, you've done the wajib, but the purpose that I want you to fast for, which is taqwa, you will not be able to achieve it unless your limbs are also fasting as well as your stomach. So it's not just the stomach now. You have to up the level to the hearing, the sight, the tongue, and the rest of the limbs of your body. This is the second level. Is there a third level? Now this is the level of the muttaqeen, the mu'mineen, and best of all, Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam. That is the fasting of your thoughts and notions. Imagine, to that extent, you have to be able to control yourself. Now, usually, if you were to sit idle, you wouldn't sit 5 minutes without a thought crossing your mind. There's always a thought crossing your mind. Allah and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they advise us, once you have passed level 1, level 2, level 3, try to train your mind of the thoughts that come across your mind. Positive thoughts, they will result in what? In positive outcome. Negative thought will result in negative outcome. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, "Man fakkara bil ma'asi da'athu ilayha." Whoever thinks of sinning, sins will invite him to do them. Just a thought, which Allah is not going to hold you accountable for, by the way. Allah holds you only for the actions that you end up doing. If a thought crosses your mind, Allah is not going to tell you why did that thought cross your mind. But in Ramadan, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they want the mu'min to reach a level where you're able to control your thought. Something that Isa alayhi salam, he would tell his Hawariyin, his companion, when Musa alayhi salam came, he told you that committing adultery is haram. You should not commit adultery. I advise you not to even think about committing adultery. Why? And look at the example he gives. He says, imagine that you are sitting in a room and you bring a bowl and you sit and you set some fire in that bowl. Now that fire is not going to burn the room because it's very small. But the smoke that comes out of that fire is going to affect the whole house. Yes, all the room. So what will happen then? It will darken, the smoke will take over. Likewise, the thought about a sin, you're not going to be held accountable for it unless you do it, but it will have an effect on your mind. It might even push you or encourage you to go and end up doing it. So the whole purpose of fasting, as we mentioned in the first night, it is taqwa. If you want to reach the highest form of taqwa, the limbs should be fasting, and then when you pass that stage, the thought should be fasting. How can I help my thought fasting? It's not going to happen from first day or 2 days. You have to train it. If you find yourself that thoughts are coming to your mind which should not be there, I mentioned something, I believe, maybe in khutbah of Jumu'ah, when the thought comes, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, nothing pushes shaitan away as much as sending blessings upon Muhammad wa al Muhammad. Number one, if the thought is stronger, go and do wudu. In fact, this is something that I would recommend the mu'mineen, since we are in the month of Ramadan, to try to get in the habit of staying on wudu all the time. You will see the positive effect of it in your life, by Allah. In fact, wudu for us, is just a normal wudu, but in the actual form, and according to Ahlul Bayt, it is nur. This is why when someone has wudu and they renew their wudu, what do they tell them? Nurun ala nur. You have put light upon the light that you already have. So this is something that if you could get in the habit that I stay on wudu, for example, I go to the bathroom, you are coming out, how long is it going to take? 30 seconds, 1 minute? It becomes a habit. If you were to sleep and you have to, you do wudu before you sleep, entire night is considered as you are doing worship. Yes, imagine, 8 hours sleep, 6 hours, 10 hours. It's as if you have been worshipping all that night just because you did what? 30 seconds before you went to bed, you did wudu. Also, if you were to read Quran, which inshallah majority of you are reading the Quran, if you were to read one letter of the Quran without wudu, the reward will be just for that one letter. If you were to have wudu for every letter you read, you'll get the reward of 25 letters. Again, 30 seconds or a minute of wudu, the reward are multiplied. For example now, how many letters are there in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim? 19. Okay, 19 letters. Times 19 by 25. 475. Okay, so imagine someone who has no wudu, they read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they will get 19 for the 19 they've read. You have wudu, you will get 475. And now continue reading the Quran whilst having on wudu. In fact, there is adab, we call it etiquette for reading the Quran. So when you read the Quran, obviously, do wudu and face the Qibla whilst you're reading it. And especially in the month of Ramadan, Sheikh Bahjat rahmatullahi alayhi, who is one of the greatest urafa, he says, read the Quran with the intention that you want to gift it to your Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. That way your reading is multiplied. So you're not just reading Quran, let's say if you were to finish it once, the thawab of one Quran. No, you will get the thawab that it was a gift to the Imam alayhi salam. Now the Imam doesn't need it. So when you gift something to the Imam will also gift you something that is going to help you in your lifetime. These little things which we consider, okay, it's tiny here and there. Tiny things, if you were to add them, yes, it multiplies it. For example, what is the ocean made of? Drops of water. Drop, 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 drop. The particles of sand, desert is made of particles of sand. Every little, do not belittle good things. This is something that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have taught us. When you do something, especially when it comes to goodness, do not think you've done something great. Yes? When it comes to sin, no matter how small of a sin it is, they tell you do not belittle the sin. Goodness, make it smaller. Sin, no matter how small it is, make it big. You are training your mind in a way that when it comes to goodness, I should do so much of them. When it comes to something I should not do, I try to limit it as much as I can. This is something that if we can train our mind throughout the month of Ramadan, we, inshallah, by the end of Ramadan, we will come out of the month of Ramadan with something probably we did not have before the month of Ramadan. So, speaking of the tongue, a narration for each of the jawarih, limbs. What does Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says? He says, إِذَا صُمْتَ فَحْفَظْ لِسَانَكَ عَنِ الْكِذْبِ وَالْغِيبَةِ. If you are to fast, make sure your tongue is fasting from what? From lying and backbiting. Stay away from them. Number 2, صَوْمُ الْعَيْنِ, which is the fasting of the eye. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, صَوْمُ الْقَلْبِ خَيْرٌ مِّن صَوْمِ اللِّسَانِ. The fasting of the heart. Imagine, how can your heart fast? The thoughts. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, fasting of the heart is better than the fasting of the tongue, and fasting of the tongue is better than the fasting of your stomach. It's all levels according to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. صوم السمع, which means hearing. لا تسمع الغيبة فإن السامع شريك القائل. As we mentioned earlier, if you were to listen to ghiba, it's as if you are partner of the one who is actually saying that ghiba or backbiting. صوم اليد, imagine fasting of the hand. أفضل الصيام كف اليد واللسان. You keep away your hands from hurting someone or oppressing someone, or using your hands or hands and legs in a way that Allah is not pleased. This is the best of fasting according to Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, كم من صائم ليس له من صومه إلا الجوع والعطش. How many people who fast, they have nothing of their fasting except for hunger and thirst. This is something that we should be keeping away from. So whatever you do in the month of Ramadan, inshallah you'll be rewarded for it. Allah is Rahman, Allah is Rahim. I will come to this towards the end. But you should not be happy with something little. Even if we were to talk about this life, we always aim high. Yes, I want this in this life. I want this higher. I want to achieve this. When it comes to akhirah, aim for the akhirah much more than what you aim for this dunya. Why? This dunya is something limited. You're not going to take anything that you have accumulated in this life, but what you take forward is amal as-salih. Even last week we buried one of the mu'minat, and as I was leaving the graveyard, subhanallah, the family was there, the community were there. As we were leaving, it's just a thought that crosses your mind. She was 80 to 90 years of age. Now she must have lived, a long life. She will have children, she will have grandchildren. As we were leaving, we left her alone and we went. What stayed with her? A'mal. What she did for those 80 to 90 years will stay with her. Everyone else left her. What did they decide? Okay, we'll do Salatul Wahsha. We will read Surah Al-Fatiha. We will do a majlis. Life moves on. What stays with you is the a'mal that you do today. Every little helps. And always remind yourself, and especially in the month of Ramadan, Allah is Rahman, Allah is Rahim. Do not run away from Him. Believe you me, take this as a lesson and try to keep this in your mind for the rest of your life. Every relationship that you have, the betrayal could come from both sides. Yes? Could be yourself, could be the other side. There's one relationship which is the servant and Allah. The betrayal will only come from the servant himself. Allah will never betray you. The promises that Allah has given you, He is going to fulfill them. He says, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whoever is God conscious, Allah will make a way out for him, and He will sustain him from places he does not expect. Try taqwa and you will see how Allah does that for you. It's a promise that He has given you. He says, "Ud'uni astajib lakum." Call upon me, I will answer you. Try in Ramadan and you see how Allah answers your call. Something, a glimpse of the mercy of Allah, which happened at the time of the drowning of Fir'aun. Now we know Fir'aun was known for takabbur. He was a very arrogant individual. When he was drowning, he called upon Musa 70 times. What does he say to him? He says to him, Ya Musa aghithni. Ya Musa aghithni. Ya Musa aghithni. O Musa, come for my aid. O Musa, come for my aid. Musa alayhi salam did not respond to any of those calls. He did not respond at all. When Fir'aun drowned, Allah spoke to Musa. He said to him, Fir'aun called you 70 times and you did not answer a single call. Had he called me once, I would have answered his call. Once, not 70 times. Then Musa alayhi salam, what does he say to Allah? He says, if you are so merciful with someone who said, Ana rabbukumul a'la, I am the highest of your lords, how merciful are you with the one who prostrates before you and he says, Subhana rabbiyal a'la. Yes, just think of this. Don't run away from Allah. If any way, we have to go back to Allah. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi. We belong to Him and we will return to Him. So there is no way that you should think, okay, I have done few things in my life, Allah is going to hate me. Allah doesn't have hate, by the way. Allah doesn't have such a thing that called hate. Allah is pleased or Allah is displeased. But even when He's displeased, He gives you chances upon chances upon chances. Ramadan is the biggest chance. The majalis of the Ahlul Bayt are a chance for you and I. When we come here, listening to the Quran, listening to what Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have to say, what happens to the mind? You stop for a moment and you rethink. This is what Allah wants you to do. Think, reflect in the Quran. Now, mashallah, you have many people who read the Quran, many people who have memorized the Quran. But nowhere in the Quran, Allah would tell you, go and memorize the Quran. Though it's a good act. What does He say? أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. Do they not reflect upon the Quran? When you come to the majalis, Allah wants you to reflect. Now, you're not supposed to learn everything that is said in 45 minutes or 1 hour. No. Take one thing away, reflect upon it. Okay, what did I learn? How could this affect my life? This is what Allah invites you for. This is why we have accountability. Yes, accountability is something that a Shia, according to Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, he says, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَا يُحَاسِبُ نَفْسَهُ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. Try doing this in the month of Ramadan as well. He who does not hold himself accountable in every night, he is not one of our Shias. How do you hold yourself accountable? From the moment you woke up until you go to bed. 2 minutes, 3 minutes before you sleep, think, what have I done? Now, when you think and you hold yourself accountable, let's say, for example, someone has used foul words 5 times. Yes? If you see that you've used these words for 1 month, it's been 5, you will be ashamed of your own self. You would say, you know what? No, I should stop. Why? Because there is accountability. But when there's no accountability, it's taken easy. I've done it before, I will do it again. But when you are accountable, I've done it 5 times, I would cut it down to 4, 3, 2, 1. Before you know it, it's all gone. This is why you must hold yourself accountable. Something that Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam says, حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. Hold yourself accountable before you are held accountable. Today, it's your free time. You can do whatever you like. Hold yourself accountable. You don't want to hold yourself accountable. No one is going to tell you off. On the day of judgment, there's no choice. Allah will tell you, come forward, you've done 1, 2, 3 and 4. You have to justify why did you do what you did. And of course, with no doubt, there's no justification for any haram act. So you will just give in and say, oh Allah, I followed my hawa, I followed my desire. In this world, you still have that time. Hold yourself accountable before you are held accountable on the day of judgment. وَنَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى, we ask Allah for the sake of the month of Ramadan, for the sake of the Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam, to grant us the opportunity that we actually understand the value of the month of Ramadan and to utilize every moment that we could in the month of Ramadan to help us gain proximity to Allah, to the Quran and to the Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين، السلام على فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام على الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء، السلام على علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان 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 من فتن الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.